Hello. I'm going to demonstrate this on my messy desk here. So here's my wired up LED. If I can get my camera to focus where I want it to focus. This is just a little 3 millimeter. I need to do it like this, maybe. My camera's having like focusing issues lately. I've got this all wired up, and I've scuffed it a little bit just for some diffusion. I tend to do that with all of my fiber because I think it just looks better in the end. And I do this most often just with these regular LEDs. I never really feel the need to go beyond using something like this or like using an SMD. And there's actually some interesting optics that occur when you use a more powerful light like that, where it can actually cause the fiber to be not as bright. I can't say I understand all of it, but I have observed that being the case before. So I have really good results just doing this. So I think the way I do this is going to be a little different because the heat source that I'm using for my shrink tube is actually just my soldering iron. Whenever I see people try to do this with like lighters or heat guns and stuff, that always ends up just destroying the fiber. With this, you only need a little bit of heat, tiny bit of contact. So I can usually take like this 3 millimeter shrink wrap and fit it um, over the LED and over the other shrink wrap that I've used. Sometimes I have to a little twist it, but there it goes. Now it's kind of going nice down below here. This just helps with like, light blocking and stuff. I like to push this down pretty much as far as I can get it. So right there is good. Um, this is the point where I'm just going to take the the dirty part of my soldering iron, just kind of shrink that over the base of the LED so it's secure. And you can see it's nice and wrapped around. From here, I want a little bit of a lip, so I'm just kind of feeling out where the top of the LED is. So it's right here. I want just like a little clearance. So I'm just going to snip it. I want like enough of this tube left over, like that. Could even trim it a bit less, actually. Tiny, tiny bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little 1 millimeter shrink tube. This is where my fiber is going to go. So from here, I am just going to close this up. There we go, nice and focused now. Just bit by bit. You do get like a little residual heat. There. So just a tiny little opening, small opening. That's all you need. And depending on how many fibers you're planning on doing this with, or if it's like a bunch of 5, you don't want to close it up that much. You might have to guesstimate and do it. It could take a couple of tries. So I'm going to cut maybe this much of this tube, just a small length. And again, it depends on how many fibers you're running. In this case, I'm only using one, so I'm just gonna tighten that opening up a little bit. And see, now you have that little, come on, camera, seriously. Now you have that little portion that is going to insert into what I had just done. So at this point, this is where you're going to take your fiber or bunch of fibers and slide those through. Doesn't have to be snug. And this is where I'm going to mushroom it a little bit. Not actually touching it, I'm just getting it like so close that the heat of the iron is doing it. I think it's this. I think it's because I'm covering the model with a trash bag, and so it's trying to focus on like all this junk. So from here, you can kind of just slide it up, and that's actually pretty, that's where it gets snug. You just get a little bit of resistance, and then the fiber tip is poking out. So from here, you can do this in multiple steps if you want, but you can secure that on its own or later. From here, I'm going to just insert it. And see, now that tube is like actually a little tough and tight. I can't even pull it out. Just inserts like this. So this is what I've been using my UV resin for a lot lately. Is I'm just gonna secure that. If you don't have UV resin, just do it with whatever you have, like microcrystal clear. I should be wearing a glove while I do this. Before I started using UV resin, I would just clamp it in my helping hands here so it's upright and then just let the glue dry. But now we have a nice bright fiber. And that's all there is to it. I've done this, I think the maximum number of fibers I've done this with, actually on this model is I used, I think, 5. I used one LED to do 5 of these, and that's like all the running lights and the ones that are on port and starboard side of that sort of undercut area. So, yeah, that's it. And now I'm ready to wire this up later. Hope that helps.